Here's a song you might know called Tim Finegan's Wake. Some of you didn't even know he was sick, apparently. Tim was fond of the drink. This is probably written in the music hall vaudeville era, maybe in England or perhaps over here. We don't quite know that. But it inspired James Joyce to name his big opus, Finegan's Wake, without the apostrophe. That's got some significance there for somebody. So I'd like you to join in the chorus here, if you can sing along or clap along, whatever you find the beat, figure out where the chorus is. Tim Finegan lived, he was a man fond of drink who also worked in construction, and it was a combination that brought about his downfall. He went to work tipsy one day and fell off the top of the building. Fortunately for Tim, the ground was there to break his fall, but the distance was unfavourable to the outcome. Tim Finegan lived in Watling Street, a gentleman Irish mighty odd. He had the brown grown rich and sweet, and to carry rise in the world he carried a hod. Tim had a sort of a tippler's way, with a love of the liquor, poor Tim was born. And to help him on his work each day, he'd knock on the painter every morn. Away from the man, still farther with the floor your collar shake. Wasn't it? The terrific told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake. That's where we stop. Okay, next time around, if you overlap the chorus, you have to buy those on either side of you, whatever their favourite beverage is. One morning, Tim felt rather full. His head felt heavy and it made him shake. And if you're sitting alone, don't take advantage of yourself. He fell from the ladder, he broke his skull, so they carried him home, his corpse to wake. They wrapped him up in a nice clean sheet and laid him out upon a bed, with a barrel of whiskey at his feet and a barrel of porter at his head. Away from the bed, dear Marner, what the floor your collar shake. Wasn't it the terrific told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake? God, that's too good. The next time around I was going to say, if you overclap, you have to get me something from them. His friends assembled at the wake, and Mrs. Finegan called for lunch. First she brought them tea and cake, then pipes, tobacco and brandy punch, and then with them alone began to cry. Such a nice clean corpse did you ever see? Tim McForney, why did you die? Hold your dog like Molly McGee. Dear Marner, what the fuck your collar shake? All the they told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake. I'm assuming there's a few people out there, I can't see very well, but some of you are reluctant to join in. For God's sakes, there's no such thing as being too cool. Just look around you, for God's sakes. This time around we're going to have some Irish folk club group therapy. Want everybody, nobody is excused this time around. When everybody clapping along, if you overclap the chorus, we want the rest to stand up and point at you. That's called negative social sanctions. This was a program developed by myself and B.F. Skinner at great public expense, and we called it Shame and Embarrassment Rhythm Reinforcement Therapy. So when everybody clapping along, if you overclap the chorus, up on your hind legs, point at them and go like this. Also known as the anthem of the militantly ignorant. Biddy O'Brien began to cry. Ara Molly said she, you're wrong, I'm sure. So Biddy fetched her a belt and a gob, and I left her sprawling on the floor. Civil war did then engaged, 'twas woman to woman and man to man. To lady law saw the rage, now an eruption soon began. Dear Marner, what the floor your collar shake. All the they told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake. Well, thanks for the catharsis. You come out for a nice quiet, night in the folk club, and all of a sudden you're the attention. Mickey O'Brien, he ducked his head as a bottle of whiskey flew at him. Mist landed on the bed. All the whiskey scattered over Tim. Oh, me lad, see how he's rising. Timothy rising from the dead, saying, hurl the whiskey round like blazes. Oh, jeez, you think I'm dead? Back to the man. Dear Marner, what the fuck your collar shake. All the they told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake. Back to the land of dear Marner, what the fuck. That's called a conditioned reflex. They told you lots of fun that Finegan Wake. song I'd like to sing for you, a night visiting song. It's a song about essentially a ghost. I was once teaching that song, Molly Malone, to a group of children at the Milwaukee Summer, the Irish Festival in Milwaukee has a summer school. And actually, I'm very lucky, I was asked back to teach again this year. I had some children in the class. I was teaching them Molly Malone. We came to the bit about the ghost, and they all started yakking about ghosts. And my father believes in it. My mother says it's nonsense. I saw one myself. No, you didn't. And the conversation went on. A 7 or 8 year old girl said, "Hush up. I tell you what ghosts are." She said, "They are dead people with issues." So I said, "My God." And then, obviously they have a dinner table where they have conversations and her family. And then I learned, I kind of followed her career at a bit of a distance and found out that she became a goth. The things you have to do to alienate your parents these days. In my day, just grow your hair a little bit and they were furious. Yeah. Nowadays you have to scarify yourself or perforate yourself or darken yourself or something, you know. Anyway, here's the song. It's an odd song. It doesn't explain much about itself. It stands on its own. My young love said to me, "My mother won't mind, and my father won't slight you for your lack of kind." And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, "Oh, it will not be long, love, till our wedding day." Last night she came to me, my dead love came in, and so softly she came that her feet made no din. And she stepped away from me, and this she did say, "Oh, it will not be long, love, till next market day." Oh, she stepped away from me, and she moved through the fair, and so fondly I watched her move here and move there. And then she went homeward with one star awake, like the swan in the evening moves over the lake. Brendan B, you know, we spoke about him earlier on. He lived life very large. He came from, he was a family of painters, house painters, so they weren't particularly poor. He discovered his great writing skill. He's an excellent, and he's a wonderful book of short stories, another book called Borstal Boy about his incarceration in the English juvenile system. Mind you, he went over there with a case of gelignite with nefarious intent back in the 1930s, and it earned him 6 years or so in prison, much of his adolescence. And he came back, and when he became a little bit famous and gained some notoriety, he would make this great. People were so kind of angry with him because he represented Ireland. He would come over. He was on the Jack Parr show, which was a chat show on television in the 50s. I've never seen it myself, but heard of it. I remember my parents being disgusted at the fact that Brendan Behan was on this show drunk, because he fulfilled all the stereotypes of the drunken Irishman. But he also had an extraordinary perception and great sense of wit. He described himself as a drunkard with a writing problem.
That's pretty good.
The poor man, he had health problems. He described it thusly. He said, "I'm a diabolic. If I don't get insulation, I'll fall prostitute on the floor in a coma." So betwixt and between the rough and rowdy ways and his illness, he died, and he was 44 when he died. But those works that he left behind, and some plays that he wrote too, one called The Queer Fella. Queer Fella in Irish parlance simply means the person in question, or your man, kind of thing. And he wrote another one called The Hostage. And those plays are still produced, and his book, Borstal Boy, is always in print. And his song, this is one of his songs, taken from, I believe it's taken from the Queer Fella, yeah, which is about a man who's about to be executed by hanging. And there's a dynamic in the play, and every so often, you never see this character whatsoever. It was a good theatrical device. But you do hear him sing this song here, The Old Triangle, which is about a work triangle, summoning people back to work. It's kind of effect is like the train whistle is to prisoners in the blues idiom. Hungry feeling came o'er me stealing, and the mice they were squealing round my prison cell. And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. To begin the morning, just Gru was bawling, I get up, you posy, and clean out your cell. And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. But in the female prison there are 70 women, and it's there among them I would like to dwell. And the old triangle could go jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. And the day was dying, and the lag lay sighing, and the seagulls were flying round my prison cell. And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. All along the banks of the Royal Canal.